Hey friends, Victor Costa, how you doing? Peace, love, and muscles. I'm just gonna wait a couple of minutes. I know that it takes some time for Facebook Live to kick in, for people to start joining, so just wanted to reach out to you folks. I don't know what's going on with the Facebook feeds these days. I think I've been posting a lot of things and folks are saying to me that they haven't seen anything from me. So I don't know if Facebook has a new algorithm or how you folks are notified. I've been doing some interesting podcasts as well. I have a new podcast called The Daily Lift, so I'd love for you to check that out too. Steve, what's up? How you doing? Hola. Good to see you here. Steve Dupe, as he's called, has been on my page, I think, since day one. He might have been one of my earliest followers. So definitely going to address a question that he asked a little bit earlier. So Steve, how you doing? By the way, guys, I'm in New York City. It's a rainy day. It's supposed to rain for like the next 4 or 5 days. So what have I been up to? I don't post a lot, and the reason I don't post a lot is because I want to make the posts rather meaningful, not just take a snapshot of my breakfast and say I'm eating breakfast. If I don't really have a lot to say and I don't think it's going to be meaningful, I don't post. But I am starting to find out what seems to be of interest to you guys, and that's really what I want to talk about. I've accumulated a lot of knowledge through the years. I've had some excellent teachers myself. No one really does anything on their own. Everybody has a background or some, good teachers behind them and people who have taken interest in me through my years. James, how you doing, buddy? Perfect timing, huh? Good to see you. Anyway, what's been going on over here? Been watching the Olympics. I've been noticing the remarkable feats that these people are accomplishing. What's amazing is that normally when I watch television, I say, oh, maybe I can do that, or maybe I could catch the ball like that or swing a bat like that. But there is not one thing that I've seen on the Winter Olympics that I could actually do. In fact, I think I'd be probably too cold to do any of it. So I'm humbled when I watch that and I realize that maybe I'm really not so much of an athlete. Arnold, how you doing? Oh, best wishes to you, Arnold. Arnold, by the way, some Vic trivia. I was actually born in Nuremberg, Germany. Everybody in Germany has peaks, right? Okay. Peace, Arnold. Good to see you. The reason I was born in Germany was because my dad was stationed in Nuremberg. He was a sergeant in the United States Army. My mom and dad were over there, and that's why I was born there. But I am American. As you probably know, the last name Costa. Although some people have the last name Costa and they're Portuguese, I happen to be Italian. So I wanted to address a really great question, and I think that Steve Duper asked this question earlier about how bodybuilding can be used as a pseudo therapy for things like depression and anxiety and other issues like that. And certainly it can be. I have to get a better understanding of how it works from a physiological standpoint in terms of the endorphins and that aspect, or biologically what happens to you. But what I've noticed is several things. And the folks who tend to use bodybuilding or a physical activity to overcome something like depression or anger or something like that have a challenging time with it, because it's really hard to use something to overcome something. Meaning that when you think of the activity that's stressful for you, and then you combine it with a physical stressor, in my view, it actually puts a physical imprint of that anger back into the body as compared to a release. So, let's say that I had an issue with my dad, or I had an issue with a coworker, or I had an issue with someone, and I intensely focus and think about that issue, and then I weight train while I'm thinking about that issue. I would tend to think that that could potentially gather more energy and make a physical imprint inside my body. Hi, Liam. How you doing? Good to see you. Yes. Thank you, sir. So that's my take on how I feel about utilizing bodybuilding or weight training as a pseudo-therapy. If you're concentrating on the thing that's bothering you while you're training, I think that's actually a negative for the body and for the health. I think it would actually maybe potentially intensify some of the feelings. However, one of the wonderful things about bodybuilding and weight training is that you get an opportunity to see progress. A lot of people do it on a schedule, so that keeps them, Naveen, how you doing? That keeps them on a schedule, and it keeps them focused, and it keeps them regimented, which a lot of people need who are suffering with various types of mental illness. If they can remain on some kind of a prescribed schedule. In fact, if they have a trainer, that would even be better. That they have an opportunity to meet somebody, to get engaged in something, to stop the tape that's running in their mind of various types of thoughts that have gathered momentum, and do something else that's more productive and different. Bodybuilding, like I said, for me, has been a great activity. But like I said, I don't think it's necessarily the greatest activity to overcome something. In fact, you know, what's interesting, guys, I mean, I don't know if you follow Esther Hicks or know about Esther Hicks, but she talks about never fail, siren outside. That's what you get for living in Manhattan. She talks about sort of interrupting the patterns of thoughts with various activities, whether that's petting your cat, going for a walk on the beach, or in our case, weight training or bodybuilding. It sort of interrupts the ideas and the patterns that you have, and then you do this wholly different exercise that engages your body, engages your mind. So I would say that bodybuilding is a wonderful therapy for anything because it takes you away from what you were thinking and what you were doing. A physical act of getting engaged into the body. The mind is very active, as you guys know. Johnny, how are you? The mind is very active, as you know. You have to be alert and aware, and you can bring yourself really into your body by intensely focusing. And in a way, if you really think about it, it is a therapy. It is a sense of meditation. When I train, I'm very much focused on what I'm doing, and I'm very much in the moment of what I'm doing. Another Esther Hicks thing I heard recently is that some guy said that he actually meditates more than 50 Cent, and she said no. Pardon me, guys. Low battery. 50 Cent is meditating while he raps. So meditation and stopping the patterns of thoughts and behavior can take the form of anything. It can take the form of, like Esther says, petting your cat, walking on the beach, reading a book, or doing something that just takes you away from the other thoughts and patterns and momentum and history that you have. So yes, bodybuilding is a wonderful therapy with respect to a new activity, an activity that one can see progress with relatively quickly, a physical exercise that's great for the body and allows you to celebrate your body, and also something that is progressive and cumulative. The progress can stack up on top of each other so that you have something to shoot for. And I think having a goal, having a physical activity is automatically great for someone. The body is supposed to be utilized, and because of the type of society that we have, where most of us are sitting for 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 hours a day, we forget how to use our bodies, and I think that weight training is a wonderful therapy for that as well. Another question that was a little bit, Craig, how you doing? Central New York, good to see you. Another question that someone said earlier, and you can see this question on the Facebook page, guys. How to use synthol properly. In my opinion, there is no proper way to use synthol. I wouldn't know. You might want to find somebody that's done it if that's your thing. I would discourage you 100%. All you have to do is go on Google, click images, and see if that's something that you want to participate in. It's not something that I would want any part of at all. Someone also said, Vic, what's the rep range and scheme for getting stronger? You know, what do you do to get stronger? What kind of activity should you do to get stronger? Now, of course, I think one of the fascinating things about getting stronger is, are you talking about getting stronger at a particular movement, or are you talking about getting stronger overall? I had a friend who was doing really heavy squats. He was in the 450, 500 pound range, and even trying to attack the 550, 600s. And what was really fascinating about this guy, and by the way, he was a quantitative analyst on Wall Street. And what's great about this guy is that he actually knew that the way to get his squat heavier wasn't to continuously do squats. He had a sense that the weakness wasn't in the activity that he was doing. The weakness actually laid in the activities that he wasn't doing. So in order to improve his squats, he went back to the drawing board, started to do hypers for his back, started to work on more core, and ultimately that led to a higher squat. So I've said it before, guys, a lot of the gains that we're looking for are in the things that we are not doing, right? The gains that we want in certain aspects of our body are not in the things that we're presently doing, because we'd have those gains by now. It's in all the little things and all the bases that we haven't covered yet. So I wanted to impart that upon you as well. But in terms of a rep range, of course, and I'm preaching to the choir here, that obviously the scheme has been lower reps and higher weights for more strength, right? And for more cuts and development, higher repetitions and lower weights, right? So I think there is something to that. One has to continuously challenge themselves. I mean, you'll never be able to bench 200 pounds if you don't put 200 pounds on the bar, or 300. You'll never get a sense of what that feels like. I think I mentioned to you guys in the past, one of my coaches used to say to me, you want the last thing that you pick up in the gym to be the heaviest thing of that workout. So that kind of leaves this imprint on the body. I would say that in general terms, you don't want to burn yourself out if you're trying to get stronger and use heavier weights, that you don't want to burn yourself out by doing tons and tons of repetitions. I would say that if my objective was to, let's say, deadlift 3 plates, that I would sort of focus on that. I would focus on not burning myself out with 30 reps of 225. You would actually start to do maybe 6 or 7 reps, leaving enough gas in the tank to approach the 3 plates later on in the workout. So I would say 3 to 4 sets of 6 to 8 repetitions would be a good scheme to have a kind of a combination of bodybuilding with strength. I would say 4 sets of higher repetitions would be something if you wanted to just get more work in, just more sort of development, and give yourself more of an opportunity to connect with the body greater. So I hope that makes some sense. Of course, when you're gearing up toward a specific lift, if it's to try to deadlift 300 pounds, or 3 plates rather, you wouldn't want to burn yourself out early on in the workout. So, but then let's also talk about, let's not neglect the quality of the repetitions. People say time under tension is the way to develop a great physique. Well, I always say it's quality time under tension. I'd rather do 5 quality repetitions and be connected to my body than do 15 repetitions that just sort of miss the body overall. What else is there to chat about? Yes, getting back into the body. That's a theme that I focus on when I'm working with a client or training with a client in person. And I think I told you guys this story. Someone recognized me in the gym and they said, hey Vic, I want to train with you. Can we do biceps together? And I said, sure, let's go. So we took, we went to the stack and we picked out he was kind of a big guy, about 6 feet, maybe 200 pounds, a little more. And he picked out a 100-pound barbell. And I said, oh, you're not going to be able to use that. And he goes, well, I normally use that. And I said, yeah, but you're not going to be able to use that with me because we're going to kind of get into the body and focus on the body. So he grabbed a 70-pound barbell. And he's about to do his reps. And he was only able to do about 7 repetitions. So he said, well, normally I can do 100 pounds for 10 repetitions. What happened? What kind of a mind trick did you play on me? I said, I didn't do anything. I said, I think you were trying a little harder, maybe to impress me. You were using a little bit more form because you kind of knew you were working with me and you knew I was watching. But let's keep going through our workout and see what happens. So then I do my set, and then now he can't get 6 or 7 again with the 70-pound barbell. And he's like, what happened? why not? Why was I unable to do this? And I said, the question isn't why you were unable to do this with me. The question is, what are you doing when I'm not here? There's no hologram Vic that can stand there and watch you. So what are you doing when I'm not here watching you? So what kind of workout do you have? He says, well, I normally do 5 sets. Yeah, 5 sets of 3 exercises. So you figure that's 150 repetitions for biceps. And meanwhile, he can't do 14 with me with weights that are about 50% less than he normally uses. So why is that? Well, the answer is that he wasn't engaged in the workout. He wasn't fully into his body. He was too busy figuring out and scheming how he was going to get through 150 repetitions rather than being all in the repetitions that he was doing. And my presence and his awareness of that reminded him that we're here for quality repetitions, and that makes a big difference rather than just to see how many we can do or to check off the boxes really nicely that we did our bicep workout and did 150 repetitions. Just to illustrate that point, if we were going to run a mile together, we'd probably run all out, fast as we can, right? Because it's a short distance, relatively short distance. But if we were going to run a marathon, would we run that first mile the same way? Absolutely not. We'd be scheming about how do we finish the 26th mile, right? So we would run our first as if we had all this more to go. And I think that a lot of people think about their bodybuilding routine in those terms. They're hedging all the way, so they're never really all in, if that makes any sense at all. Dirk, how you doing? Belgium. What time is it over there? It's late, right? Peace, love, and muscles to you, my friend. Okay. So I hope that makes some sense too, to be more engaged in your body. A lot of times I sometimes don't even face the mirror. I try to face away from the mirror, or I first face in a neutral position, because I think sometimes when I'm looking at myself, my head is actually, and my shoulders and my posture are in an unnatural position, and I lose a little bit of the focus rather than just kind of focusing on the body. And you'll find that when you turn away from the mirror, suddenly there's this relaxation of the neck and the head, because there's not this, oh, it's 11:53, huh? There's not this intense focus on how am I doing? How am I doing, coach? How am I doing the repetitions? You already know how they're supposed to feel. And when you turn away or shut your eyes, you get a better sense of coming back into the body. Now, I tend to do this on shoulders. Shoulders are, for me, a little bit of a weak point. I will say that I don't enjoy those as much, and I get it that people tend to enjoy different body parts more. We tend to enjoy the body parts that we're already very skilled with, right? So that's kind of an interesting thing that I have to work on as well. How do I get to enjoy the shoulder work? So what I do is I try to really get in there, and by taking my face away from the mirror, I'm able to really refocus. My head and neck adopts a more natural position that I think is more essential actually when working the shoulders, right? And there's no need to monitor my progress that closely. I can feel for the right repetition, and I can feel for when the weights are going in there, and it's made a lot of a difference for me as well. Excuse me. Also, I think that there's a stress that goes along with focusing on how hard you are working, that when you have a visual of this intensity, that it actually drains some energy from you to an extent. And that, you're always gauging, you can see how hard you're working, and that visual somehow works on the brain and says he's working really hard, he's going to get tired. So maybe you want to experiment with just focusing away. Grant, how are you? I recognize your name. By the way, I recognize everybody's name here. Peace, love, and muscles to you, Grant. Excuse me, what else? Trainers out there. And I just want to talk to any of the trainers that are out there, because I train people and I know what clients expect and I know what they like because I ask them. So one of the most important things as a trainer is you want to focus intensely on your client, not so much on yourself. I know that there's a lot of sort of dead air in terms of quiet, between the sets. And a lot of times as fitness professionals, we sometimes try to fill that void or that space with noise. But often we find ourselves often talking about ourselves. If you think about it, for your own workout, if somebody was talking to you continuously while you were trying to rest, I think that you would actually find it pretty annoying. So try to talk to the client more while they're doing the repetitions with encouragement, and then take a step back after they finish their set, sort of review the set with them and give them a minute or two of quiet time. They're going to enjoy it a lot more rather than chatting, because you're stimulating them too much and it becomes this stress for them as well to take on the burden of all of your thoughts, especially if they're not cohesive or comprehensive, or if you're being selfish by talking about yourself. And by the way, I'm not judging anybody. We've all done this, whether it's through nervousness of meeting a new client or just a little bit awkward when there's a person there, another person, and you have to fill the void. I was watching, excuse me guys, an interesting movie, and I had the movie on, and I couldn't realize, I'd only had it on for a couple of minutes, and I said, why do I like this so much? And it turned out that it was a French film, and with subtitles. And I said, why am I enjoying this so much? And it turned out it was because the filmmaker allowed for silence between the dialogue. Didn't have this idea of having to fill up every gap with a noise or a sound effect or an explosion. It was the silence, like things really are in real life. And so for those of you who are trainers, just keep that in mind. Give your clients a minute or two of solitude to rest without having to hear your voice. Give a lot of encouragement, and try not to talk so much about yourself and what's going on in your life, rather than connecting with them about what's going on in theirs. I know it's hard after you've known a client for a long time and you're very comfortable, but just try that. I know for a fact that that's what clients want, because they've told me. What else? So that's it. I wish you guys all the best. Peace, love, and muscles. Thank you so much for joining me on this Facebook Live. That's it. Oh, got a new podcast called The Daily Lift. The Daily Lift has very little to do with lifting. It has everything to do with lifting you from an inspirational perspective, offering you interesting insights into just feeling better, feeling more uplifted, feeling more empowered. All of the stuff that I get, by the way, just so you know, in terms of content, comes from really connecting with other people. And that's been a blessing for me, to connect with people like you on Facebook. The dialogues and the knowledge that I have about bodybuilding, to have it for yourself and to not be able to connect with anybody about it would be very, very lame, especially at my stage of the game. Thank you so much for enjoying my content, because bodybuilding has been an ambassador for me to actually meet people and get to know people through this medium and become more social. So that's it, guys. I'm going to go work on a couple of things. I wish you all the best. Peace, love, and muscles. Peace, love, and muscles. And to the guy with the synthol, don't do it. Come on, man. You don't need that stuff. Really, really. All right, take care. Steve, good to see you. Everyone, James, nice to see you again as well. Take care of yourself. I'm going to do a lot more of these, okay? I promise. Bye.